What's good, my people? Welcome into No Ketchup Sports Talk via Chicago. I am your host, Sean Little. Big Nick the Quick with me as always. We got a bunch to talk about because we back rolling weekly. You already know what time it is. Young quarterbacks, Bryce Young. They got my man up out of there early. Second week, Canales, not my guy. He's got to go. Jaden Daniels taking hits. Will Levis. Coach is asking him, yo, what in the world are you doing, young fella? You're not going to have a job too much longer, young fella, if you keep doing this. As I get a package in New York City. Caleb and the Bears, we got to talk about that. Around the Shield, Baker, the Chiefs, Ravens 0-2, Kyler Murray dealing. It has to stop. What around the NFL just has to stop? It needs to stop. Or the NFL or the world. We'll talk about it. No Ketchup Sports Talk via Chicago. Let's get to it.
Now look at Mossy. Really? Oh, so that's how you're going to play it. You going to do this? Okay, fine. That's all I needed. That's all I needed for him to do that. And it became personal with me.
All right, had to let that package in real quick. Big Nick the Quick.
How we feeling?
Good, bro. What's going on? Hey, man, listen. I'm on my second cup of coffee without eating any breakfast.
Yeah.
I feel this has got to be – I'm Superman. Untouchable right now.
That's me every day, brother. I usually do about 2 or 3, eat the breakfast, and finish with the 4th cup. But I'm also – we talked about before. I'm a sicko when it comes to coffee. I drink the entire pot daily. So, yeah.
Yeah, see, that's I don't do all that. I'd be shaking.
But every day. Need to.
It is yeah, man, my mind is running. I'm thinking about going out to Manchester to catch Arsenal, Man City. That's how the second cup of coffee got me feeling, bro.
There you go.
That's really it. All right, let's jump right into it because we got a lot to talk about, and you know how we eat up hours. We're going to get to Caleb Williams and the Bears and Eberflus and what's going on with Shane Waldron and the offensive line. And did we not see some of this coming in camp? Or the offensive line is an atrocity. We'll get to the Bears.
Atrocious.
And we'll get to a lot of other stuff around the league, as I mentioned off the top. But let's start with Bryce Young because this is almost unprecedented. It's almost unprecedented for a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback that goes number 1 in the NFL to be banished, unanimously number 1.
Yeah.
To be shelved after 18 games. And before I forget, Nick, I have to bring this up. Lovie Smith changed the course of the NFL. No bullshit. In that last week 18 game where the Texans went ahead and got a W, because let's not get it twisted, Nick. They don't win that game. The Texans get the number 1 pick, and who do they take? Bryce Young.
Bryce Young. A
vast majority of the teams in the league, including myself, I thought Bryce was going to be a good quarterback in the NFL. The poise, that if there was one thing that translated from college to the pros was going to be Bryce Young's poise. He was a leader. He could make things work, yeah?
And I think we talked about this at the time, and I said, yeah, of course he's poised. He's playing at Alabama a bunch next to 10 other 5-star recruits. It's not much to worry about, which was my thing from the very beginning with a lot of these Alabama quarterbacks. Shout out Tua. It's a lot of talent going on over there. They don't got to do too much.
It's true. But
McElroy.
Yo, Lovie wins. The Texans draft Coleridge, Bernard Stroud. Bears get the number 1 pick. They pack it up. Or they don't pack it up. They draft Caleb. But it was a series of things. We traded it.
We traded that pick, got a whole bunch of picks. We got Carolina's number 1. this year.
And then
which leads to us having the number 1, and we draft Caleb. So, yeah, very, very history-changing trade.
Yeah, my bad. So 2 years ago. Yeah. But, yes, man, I thought about that watching Coleridge the other night, hearing the Bryce news. I'm like, this is all Lovie Smith.
Yep.
The Texans should put a statue out in front of NRG of Lovie Smith.
Remember, they were mad at him. They were mad at him about that. Remember, the ownership was mad.
Furious.
They were like, "No, we wanted you to lose that game." Lovie knew.
Bro, Lovie saved the franchise, and they don't even know it.
Yep, for real.
So
D'Amico owes him 10%.
D'Amico, everybody owes Lovie. I hope everybody hit Lovie on the side on the group
what Lovie's
chat.
doing
like,
right now.
Shout
Lovie
out
just
Lovie.
sitting on the bag, going to church, chilling.
Yeah, big time. Combing his beard.
Combing his beard. I'm rich.
I'm rich.
Maybe another college will hire me.
Yeah, facts.
Shout out Lovie Smith.
Shout out Lovie Smith, man. Leader of men.
Leader of men.
Lovie Smith. Leader of men, Lovie Smith. So, unprecedented though.
Yeah.
Do you agree with the decision? What do you think about the decision? When you saw it pop up, were you shocked? I mean, the numbers are horrific.
The numbers are horrific, and if you watch them play, if you've watched any of the games of the Panthers, which if you haven't, I don't blame you. It's not good football to watch. He can't throw the ball downfield. He's shook out there. It's beyond the numbers. It's just when you watch it, it doesn't look right. So I wasn't shocked. The only thing that shocked me is that on Sunday night, Canellis came out and said, Bryce is our guy. We're sticking with Bryce. And no less than 12 hours later, the decision is made to bench the guy in favor of Andy Dalton. If I'm Canellis, though, look, we know the deal with David Tepper. Since he's been there, I believe that Canellis is either the third or fourth head coach that team has had. And Dave Tepper's only owned that team for 3 years. So this is a guy who has a quick trigger on coaches. You saw it last year with, who was my man's? Was it Frank Wright? Yeah, they fired
Frank
him.
Wright,
yeah, they fired him within 3 weeks of hiring him.
No, it wasn't Frank.
No. It was. Who did they
I
start
think
the
you're
season?
Right,
yeah, it was. Yeah, I think it was Frank Wright. Yeah. They started the year with him. It went, 2 games. It wasn't going well, and they fired him. Tepper is known as being this kind of guy. So if you're Canellis, like, I'm trying to stay in this job. I know right now, as crazy as it sounds, Andy Dalton gives me a better chance of at least looking competitive than Bryce Young. But
yeah,
I am shocked that you would essentially give up on a guy this early. Someone likened it to the Zach Wilson situation where it's like, hey, young fella, just sit for a couple of games and, get everything back in order and come back out there. I don't think this is that. I don't think there's anything that you can pull from for this kid. And I worry that if they win a game or two, he's never going to see the field again in Carolina.
Now, let me just give everybody a recap of what the Bears moved to give what the Bears received for Carolina to get the number 1 pick to take Bryce Young. At the end of the day, the Bears got Caleb Williams, DJ Moore, Darnell Wright, Torrey Taylor, and Tyreek Stevenson. 4 of those guys start for the team right now today.
Who doesn't?
I guess Torrey Taylor's the punter, yeah, but I guess that's where I was. I'm talking about like down-to-down backs. But yeah, I guess they're all they're all starters.
Don't disrespect the weapon. Torrey Taylor.
He's one of our better players, low key.
Yeah, he's flipping fields left and right.
He's flipping fields left and right. Shout out TT.
Yeah.
Shout out TT. TTP. That's what we're gonna call him. TTP.
Torrey Taylor punter.
Torrey Taylor the punter.
He should hold out.
He should hold out. Low key. Go get a new deal, TTP.
Hey mate, this doesn't look right, mate.
Hey mate. Remember when Caleb sent him the message that you're not going to be punting very much? He's like, you sure about that, my boy?
Folks is punting every possession.
Yo, so to go back to Bryce Young, since coming into the league last year, yards per attempt, 5.4. That's 32nd in the NFL. There's only 32 teams. Touchdown to interception ratio, 31st. There's only 32 teams. 68 sacks taken. That's 32nd. There's only 32 teams. EPA per dropback, negative 0.24.
What's EPA?
EPA is estimated points added, by the way, for those who don't
know. So every time he drops back, it costs them points?
Yes. Negative 0.24. It's 32nd in the league. There's only 32 teams.
I've never heard that stat. Wait, every time he drops back, he costs the team points.
Yeah. EPA is a big analytical indicator. We can chat about it.
That's a good stat. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, EPA is huge. Passer rating 70.9, 32nd. There's only 32 teams. So his win percentage, it's a little 11%er, 32nd. There's only 32 teams. So when you talk about just what he's done since getting in the league, I mean, maybe I feel some type of way about the overall situation because, yes, he's played poorly. There is absolutely no arguing that, yeah? He's been in a bad situation. Head coaches flipping all over the place. No talent on the roster. But he hasn't shown any flashes of anything. And, Nick, you know what this goes back for me? I've been pounding on the table for years, bro. And I know it takes a lot of guts and a lot of heart. If you're Bryce Young and you're Bryce Young's team, looking at Carolina, you knew that was a disaster before you even showed up. I think more players need to pull the Eli Manning and the John Elway. Yo, I'm not showing up to this camp. This franchise is a dumpster fire. I'm not going. I'll go pick 5 before I go ruin my career. Nick, he's getting ready to be out of the league.
Yeah.
Before I ruin my career, I'm not going to Carolina. There's nothing over there for me. I'm not doing that. I think more, number one, how much leverage the quarterback position has. I think more players should start employing this option.
Do it.
Eli did it, bro, in everybody's face and didn't care.
Didn't care. His dad do it.
No one.
Eli's not going. He's not going to San Diego. We're not doing it,
bro. Do not draft me. I'm not showing up.
Yep.
All right.
I want to be.
Don't think about it. I want to go make money off the field. I'm not about to go out to Qualcomm Stadium and play football where no one cares about it. I'm not doing that. I really think more players coming out with as much leverage as a lot of these guys do. Like, yeah, no, don't draft me because I'm not coming.
Yeah.
And I'll do whatever is necessary. And it's an indictment on your franchise because y'all aren't running shit right over there. That's it, and that's all. So, but to get back to the football portion, I feel bad for Bryce Young because when you're in a bad situation and the talent is maybe not what it needs to be to succeed, it is a dumpster fire and a quick dumpster fire. And that's exactly what happened out there. This also goes back to something that we've been pounding the table on here at No Ketchup for literally 7+ years.
Yep. Is
when you're a quarterback, you better have some ties to the coach, my brother.
Well, he did. He did for the regime that drafted him was in there. They just only lasted 3 days.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So you better have ties to the current coach, my brother.
For sure.
Or you are gonna be in bad shape. Yeah. I want to say Carolina flipped GMs as well.
I think they flipped the entire situation.
So if you don't have, look that up for me.
Yeah.
So if you don't have any ties to the GM or the coach, and you stinking up the joint every week, you are on less than borrowed time, dog. You are in trouble.
They fired their GM in January.
So you better have ties to at least the GM.
Yeah.
Because a perfect example is Joe Schoen. He's got ties to Daniel Jones has ties to Joe Schoen, not Daboll. Yeah. Joe Schoen. That's why he got a deal.
Did you watch the Hard Knocks off season? It's like Shane didn't want to admit how much of a massive mistake it was that he's paying Daniel Jones $40 million, doing everything he can to try to make the roster work around it. And you could see the lack of confidence in Daboll and anybody he talked to about Daniel Jones, especially when they were going through the Saquon thing. I would say anybody who wants to see turmoil, watch that Hard Knocks. And when they're going through Saquon leaving, even the owner comes and says, I won't be able to sleep if Saquon ends up on the Eagles. 2 weeks later, he's on the Eagles. And you can just see that's what a building looks like. That's what a building looks like when you lock your quarterback in, a quarterback you don't believe in, a quarterback who doesn't make you better, into a long-term deal, and you're just in shambles trying to figure out how to build around it. And it's played out for the first 2 weeks of the season, obviously. Yeah, I think for Bryce Young, man, I think he has to get out of Carolina. I don't think that anything good is going to come from him staying there. I don't think you can go back to him. I think his confidence has to be shattered at this point. Like you said, the situation that he came into, and we're sensitive to quarterbacks coming into bad situations because we have seen it up front for the last 2 that we had, going further even back than that. If you don't have the right things around the quarterback, it is really tough. On the other hand, he has not shown anything. Even with Fields, we could say, hey, look, he does this, there's this, like there's some hope to hold on to. With Bryce Young, there's really nothing you can point to. He has played terrible. The organization has performed terrible. That's why I'm ultimately not surprised at this decision, but I'm somewhat shocked because to me it is waving a white flag on your second-year quarterback. And it also brings the question, well, what was the Panthers' mission this year, right? Like, was it year 2, let's continue developing Bryce, or was it we need to win as many ball games as possible? And you're always trying to win games, but you know what I mean. Sometimes seasons have different themes. It's not let's try to go out there and go 4-13, so, it looks like we fought hard. Sometimes it's like, hey, for 17 games, we're going to put this guy through the fire and see if he's our guy. And to me, it sounds like after 18 games of him being a starter, they've already made that decision. So he's definitely going to need a fresh start somewhere else. I just wonder what that looks like and if teams are willing to take that. So I thought it was interesting coming into the year that there was no talk about him. Like, the whole league had kind of written him off after last year. I'd never seen a one.
No, not everybody. There was
so.
a lot of people like, I don't want to jump to conclusions on Bryce. Even Orlovsky talks about it all the time. It was,
but not like you would think. Like, hey, year 2 for like with the amount of hype that he had coming in. I mean, Bryce. Like when we talk about unanimous number 1, there was not a conversation between Bryce and CJ. It wasn't a conversation between Bryce and whoever. Remind me who was the third quarterback taken in that draft. There wasn't a conversation. This guy was a unanimous number 1. This was like the guy you had to get.
Yeah,
they were calling him Steph Curry. They were calling him Steph Curry. They said the comparison to him is Steph Curry.
And look, if it wasn't 1, it was goddamn for sure number 2. He was either going number 1 or number 2.
Yeah, and the number 1 would have been the dude, right. the pass rusher, Will Anderson.
Yeah, Will Anderson. Yeah,
it depends on the team. As far as quarterbacks go, this was the guy. This was the number 1 guy. And I thought going into this year, it was very quiet for the Bryce Young situation. I think I'd said this to you before. It's just like, man, no one is talking about this guy at all, and it's almost like everybody saw what they need to see, and apparently the Carolina Panthers did too. It's tough, man. And I think that when you see other guys move quickly, like CJ Stroud, like some of these other quarterbacks who've kind of hit the ground running, even go to a Brock Purdy, right? You start comparing your guy to that guy. You start looking at it's not all the same. Wait. Yeah, some guys take a little bit longer. Brady's been talking a lot about this. Brady's like, look, it took me 5 years to be a starter at Michigan. It took me 2 years to start in the NFL. All that was development. We're now shotgunning guys. So, yeah, I mean, and we're seeing it if we want to move into Caleb. We're seeing it with Caleb Williams. This is a different league. This is a different league.
But this is the thing. There is guys like Coleridge walking around. So
sure, there are.
You feel me? So that's what makes it.
But are they the standard or the exception?
Yeah, that's probably a great point.
How many guys? I mean, Cole. Part of the reason we were so amazed by C.J. Stroud is in the history of the National Football League, we had never seen a rookie do that. We had seen rookies put up numbers before. We never seen rookies put up numbers that led to winning. Right? Like, not only was he out there doing his thing, they were winning ball games. Right? And we saw it Sunday night. This guy's high level. Some of the throws he's making. I called you after the Nico Collins touchdown. I said, hey, look, man, run that back. That throw is extremely high level. He did some things on that throw that not a lot of guys are doing. The way that he tossed it up there, the way that he led him, the way that he put it in a spot that it was either touchdown or nothing.
Well, we talk about this all the time. There's accuracy, and then there's, what do we call it? We call it Joe Burrow.
Ball placement.
And then there's accuracy and there's ball placement.
Ball placement.
Different.
If you can place a ball, your receivers love you. You make your receivers rich by having elite ball placement.
The difference is accuracy versus ball placement. You're exactly right.
Yep.
All right, quickly. Well, let me close out the Bryce thing. I think it's a combination of a really good, well-run organization. He doesn't look as bad as he's looked, but I'm still not sure he's an NFL starting quarterback. I think that's the easiest way to put it. If he was in a better run organization that had some stability, he wouldn't look that bad. The fact that he's not an NFL guy and his franchise is a dumpster fire, it absolutely it becomes an embarrassment how bad it looks on the field.
Hey, and real quick, shout out Andy Dalton's agent for always putting Andy in a situation.
He's solid though.
Where there's a shaky quarterback in front of him, he's going to play. Dak gets hurt, he plays in Dallas.
Hey,
Justin Fields is shaky. Let's get you the Bears. Hey, I heard Carolina's situation might be shaky. We'll slide you in there. Don't worry. You'll be playing by week 3.
Facts.
Shout out the Red Rocket, man. What a career.
Red Rifle.
Even in Cincinnati, it was like, hey, Carson Palmer's on his way out. you'll be the starter here for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
You
you won't have to win too much. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. It's all good.
All right. Really quick, I want to touch on Jaden Daniels. I tweeted out, I'll touch Jaden Daniels, and we'll go to Will Levis, then we'll go to Caleb and the Bears.
Oh.
But really quick, Jaden Daniels, I tweeted out, I'm worried about this kid. They're running this dude like this is college football.
Yeah.
He took a shot in the ribs in week 2 because I was on Washington. He took a big shot to the ribs. He was going to come out, end up staying in. But what I'm getting at is he can't be taking shots like that. He's too little. I've seen this movie. I've seen this movie quite a few times. And this is not Josh Allen I'm talking about. And I'm worried about Josh.
Yeah.
This dude is 60 pounds shy of Josh Allen.
Not even close as Josh Allen. Yeah. And he doesn't have the elusiveness of Lamar Jackson to kind of escape a lot of that. Yeah.
Correct. So shout out Jaden. I think Cliff Kingsbury's over there running the offense. He's got him distributing.
We know he's an offensive genius, so.
Yeah, and that's Mr. Get a Check too. So shout out Cliff.
Shout out Cliff.
Shout out Cliff Kingsbury. So the one thing I do want to touch on was Jaden looks good overall. I think his decision making has been good, and he's not trying to push it downfield. Only when he really has an opportunity, which hasn't been very much. But he got to stop taking shots. And I know you wanted to talk about Will Levis. Just let's roll this along, just so we don't run out of time. Benny, quick. I know you want to talk about Will Levis. You said that's unprecedented. The coach is asking him, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Well, just the way how flagrant it was. He literally took off his headset, looked at him, goes, "What the fuck are you doing?" After that, I don't know what he was doing. Look, back-to-back weeks, and in the spots too, right? In that Bears game, they were up. It was the fourth quarter. All you need to do was protect the ball, and you were most likely going to win that game. And you had an egregious turnover. That went to the house too, right? That was the Tyreek Stevenson to the house.
That was a pick, pick 6.
When he's in the grasp and just throwing it away. Then this week, same exact situation. They are in field goal range. They're in a game that's very winnable against the New York Jets. And he, for whatever reason, flips as he's getting tackled, looks and makes a conscious decision to flip it between his running back's leg. Obviously, guy didn't pick it up. Defender gets it. That's a wrap. Jets end up
They could be 2-0.
They could be 2-0. They could be 2-0. Those are the type of things that you look at and say, had these gone the other way, we have a great chance of being 0-2. So what's his name? Callahan? Is that the guy's name?
Yeah, that's
as he's
Brian's
coming
son.
off the field. Yeah. Shout out. Yeah, it is Callahan's. What's his face? Dude, he used to coach the Raiders.
Callahan,
Bill Callahan. They said that he sabotaged that Super Bowl on purpose. By the way, you can look up the interviews about it. But
wait, what?
You never seen that?
Don't derail the pod. I gotta Brian Callahan.
Yeah, look up Bill Callahan.
Son of Bill Callahan.
Look up Bill Callahan tanking that Raiders Super Bowl. Remember that Super Bowl? It was crazy. The offensive lineman was went MIA the night before the game. Yeah, it was a crazy Super Bowl. Anyways, as he's coming off the field, looks at Will Levis and goes, "What the fuck are you doing?" In plain sight, on his ass. In his defense, 100% it was the right thing to do to say that to him. We look at a guy like Levis. I think there are some. We talked about it last week. He's competitive. He reminds me a little bit of Baker, right? He obviously worked on his body a little bit this year. Came in the year looking good. Could make some throws. You can't do shit like that.
It's unacceptable.
It's unacceptable. Doesn't matter how good you are. Yeah.
What did we just lead the show with? Brian Callahan ain't got no ties to that man, Will Levis.
No ties to
That
Will Levis
man will be on the bench by week 5 if he keeps acting up like that.
Doing some 100%.
Shit like that.
Yeah.
And
even if he did.
And when I see that type of tone, it's pretty clear that Callahan wasn't really rocking with this dude in the first place.
No. He didn't put
his
arm
like,
around
all right,
him.
This is the
was
guy I got.
Yeah. It was
so anger. I got to go with him. But, yeah, he's like, I knew this dude couldn't play off top, and now I'm seeing it in real life NFL snaps. So it's like, yeah, no, I'm not.
And that's the thing. I think he can play, but shit like that
he can't play.
Right,
no, I'm cool. Play. I'm good.
We're done. We're cool off Will Levis. Are we out?
We're cool off. I'm out. I bet what? Never was in. Let's move over to
two of the worst turnovers you ever seen in your entire life, man.
Yeah, no question. Let's move over to Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. We're through 2 weeks. Caleb Williams looked a lot better to me in week 2 than he did in week 1. He looked a lot more calm when he was able to get something done. Where do you want to go here first, Big Nick the Quick? Talk to me about his play, the situation, and then we'll start rolling on it.
So we touched on this a little bit last week. His welcome to the NFL moment. Tried to shake a DT. Looked back up. The guy is still right there in his face. Understood this league is different, right? Let's start with that. This league is different. If you look at those interceptions that he threw on Sunday night, one in particular, I think it was the second one, the first one, where he just kind of launched it up there. He thought he had a man open and that window closed faster than he could imagine. That's the NFL, right? On Saturday, that's a touchdown. On Saturday, that's a 70-yard bomb. That's SportsCenter #1 play. In the NFL, you can't do that. So I'm hoping that he's learning from that, right? I'm hoping that he learned last week that these guys are different. I'm hoping that he learned this week that these guys are different. And some of the things that you could do, some of those splash plays that you would try to make when things break down in college, that you can't do in the NFL. So 100%, a lot of that is on Caleb. I'm not, taking away any blame from him. He has not played well. He's looked flustered, but he's looked like a rookie quarterback. This league is different. On the flip side, what was the stat? On 38 dropbacks, he was pressured 37 times. I watched Jalen Hurts last night operate out of a
Hold on, let's get the actual number just so it's not as bad because there's a difference between total pressures like actual players versus the actual number of pressures. So, next gen stats. There was 36 total individual pressures by 10 different pass rushers on 48 dropbacks, but 23 team pressures on 48 dropbacks. So, still like 45%, 47% of the time. In other words, when the pressure was coming, it was multiple people.
And even when it wasn't coming, you still felt it. That's the thing. But when you're getting pressure on half of your dropbacks, it doesn't matter. Even on plays where there's no one back there, you're kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. You're waiting for somebody to be back there. So the offensive line has played atrocious. You talk about Jaden Daniels taking hits. We talk about surrounding rookie quarterbacks with talent. And look, I love wide receivers. I love running backs. I think they're fun. They're great. You need them. They score touchdowns, right? But you can go back through the, 8-9 years that we've been doing this show. I've been banging the same drums. You win from the line of scrimmage. Offensive linemen, defensive linemen. It's funny. I was watching the game last night with Nikki, and she's trying to get into football, right? So I was like, hey, if you really want to understand, you could watch a football game, just watch the line of scrimmage, right? Watch 0 balls, 0 quarterback, 0 anything for 4 quarters, and you could probably tell who won the game just by watching the battle up front, right? It dictates so much. If you watch 4 quarters of offensive line play, you could watch it. You could figure out, hey, this team probably won because either A, their linemen were holding up, or B, they were in the backfield every single time pressuring the quarterback.
Push, pull.
With the Bears, they were in the backfield every single time pressuring the quarterback. I don't know who this guy is that we have at center, but for 2 straight weeks, we have seen this guy get bum rushed up there. Caleb has no time. So when you talk about a rookie quarterback whose processor is already a lot slower than someone who's played years in the NFL, you have to give him time. You have to give him time. Now with this guy, it's in his nature to try to make the fantastic play, right? So it's like a deadly combination of him not having enough time plus him thinking that he can overcome that by making crazy plays because that's what he did at USC when he wasn't playing around a lot of talent. Those USC teams that he had, when we talked about, I think only one other guy got drafted on his team. Those weren't the UFC
no first rounders. I know
2005. This wasn't Bush and Lindell White and shout out Lindell White and Matt Leinart and those boys running around. This was not that, right? So it's in his nature to try to make those crazy plays, and you're not helping it by making him feel like he has to. Also, the play calling. For 2 straight weeks, I've talked about it. Shane Waldron doesn't know what he's doing. I saw that within 5 minutes of the first game. Why are we launching the ball 30 down?
We're already out on Shane?
Yeah, I know shitty coordinators. I've been watching shitty coordinators my whole life. This guy doesn't know what he's doing. No idea what he's doing. I'm out. I was out after the first game. I was out after 3rd and 1 empty sets. I'm out after 3rd and 1 shotgun. Yeah, sometimes you just got to line up and play football.
This is the thing too, though. It's always interesting. More than anything, I think when we're talking about Eberflus and Shane, this line is not the fucking answer. You can't do anything with if you're getting pressure the way these guys are allowing pressure.
Yeah.
You can't ask Shane because, like, this is the thing too. I'm not confident that. Okay, I hate gun 3rd and 1 runs, but I'm not sure if you stack the bitch up and ran it, they pick it up the one anyway. So it's more of like a talent evaluation thing of if you think these guys that you have up front can play, that's our number one issue, first and foremost. That needs to get sorted. DeAndre Swift has no business running between the tackles 10, 11 times in a game. That's not his game. That's why Juice Herbert's on the roster, though.
Yeah.
Let him run in between the tackles. Get DeAndre Swift the rock out in space. Zone reads. That's what he did in Philly. That's where he was impactful in Philly. But I mentioned this to Nick on the phone for everybody listening and watching. We've had a lot of offensive geniuses come over to Chicago. Why do they always seem to forget how to call when they get here? Because Shane Waldron got Geno Smith paid, had that Seattle offense looking solid. Young running back looking solid. Tyler Lockett still getting the rock. Geno got an extension because of Shane Waldron and that offense overall, what they were doing. The number one issue with the Bears right now on offense for me is the offensive line. Then we get to Shane Waldron. Then we get to Caleb Williams. One thing I noticed that I wanted to ask you, how did because this has happened a couple times now. DJ Moore on misses and incompletions has been a little demonstrative towards, I don't want to say directly towards Caleb, but clearly showing frustration on the field. And if you go back and you remember, he was, pounding his chest for Justin Fields to come back. Anything you've noticed from DJ, or am I looking too far into some of the things that he's been doing? Because even Collinsworth called it out on the back shoulder. He's like, I beat my guy inside for you. I left you 5 yards to the boundary for a back shoulder throw. You threw the shit out of bounds. He kind of showed that frustration on that miss, ripped his chin straps off, walked to the sideline. Anything to that?
I think it's very frustrating for wide receivers to play with shitty offensive lines because they're just not getting the ball. It's that.
Yeah, there's
that
no
simple.
time.
We know, first of all, look, wide receivers, if they're not catching passes, they're not happy because most of them don't do anything other than catch passes. We got some guys that'll block. You got some guys that'll do some other things. But look, man, I mean, they have 6 or 7 plays a game where they matter. That's about it. So if you're not getting those 6 or 7 plays a game, you're very upset. If you're not even getting the ball thrown in your direction, you're very upset. Yeah, he might be frustrated with Caleb, for sure. He's wide open. He's doing what he has to do, but everything around him is breaking down. So he's just out there doing cardio. I don't know if it's necessarily frustration with Caleb as much as it's just frustration with the whole situation. That is frustrating to watch. It's frustrating to be a part of. They were in the backfield every single play. In addition to that, you're only rushing 4 or 5 guys, which means you're dropping 6 or 7, right? So there's not a lot of space to throw the ball to. They didn't need to blitz. For 2 straight weeks, teams have said, we can beat this team one-on-one with our front 4 or front 5. That's demoralizing. Last week, the Titans didn't need to blitz. This week, the Texans didn't need to blitz. So all those all those backers, corners, safeties, they're all in coverage. You wonder why Caleb threw that pick and there's 5 guys there? Because none of them are blitzing. You don't have to. You're beating these guys one-on-one. You're putting pressure right up the middle. Look at some of those plays again. I don't know the center's name. He was backwards all night. Offensive linemen should never be backpedaling. He was backpedaling all night, and that pressure is right there in Caleb's face. So, of course, he can't make a good throw to DJ. And even on, we just talked about it, even on plays where he's not getting pressure, it's there. It's inevitable.
Coleman Shelton
messes
is
with
the
your
center.
internal clock. Coleman Shelton should not be playing football in the NFL. I'm sorry, it's not working for you. You got to do something else.
Might be a few cats on that line. Nate Davis. Yeah.
That line is Nate Davis is an atrocity. I've been for 3 years. This guy, he is either not playing due to some undisclosed reason, or when he doesn't play, he doesn't give effort. And I'll never forget when we signed him, they said Vrabel was so happy to get him off the roster. I forget who it was. It said the quote was, Mike Vrabel hates Nate Davis.
Yeah, and that's not a guy. And that's not a guy that you want. Like, I trust Vrabel. How about that?
I trust Vrabel's read on effort. He was an effort guy when he played. I trust his read, and I trust his read on ground and pound and all that. That's what he did in Tennessee. So if he's looking at a guy, he's like, I fucking hate this guy. I can't wait to get him off my roster.
Yeah,
and then we bring him over, and it's been a disaster since. I mean, some of the film on Nate Davis is appalling, of a guy just not trying to get to the second level and make another block. That's the type of shit where I don't care if he's your best guard or when he plays well, he's good. You bench him. You can't have shit like that going on. The rest of the team sees that. So Belichick was talking about this. Like, I think we all got so happy about Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, DeAndre Swift, all these. None of that shit matters if you can't block. Period, point blank. We talked about it with the Patriots for years. They sacrificed skill position guys to keep Tom Brady upright. That's all that mattered. And if you missed a block, Belichick was putting you on the bench and you might never play again.
And they won a lot of games.
And they won a lot of football games. I saw Brady win Super Bowls in years they didn't have good receivers. That last Super Bowl they won in New England, that team was ass.
Yeah, it really was.
Ass. Had no business winning the Super Bowl. But you kept your quarterback upright, and that shit translates in the winter. It translates in the playoffs, and it translates in the Super Bowl. Protect your quarterback, man. I don't know how much more we need to talk about this. Rush the quarterback, protect the quarterback. We can't do either.
And be able to rush the football so you could work off play action and use all the tools that Caleb has in the bag to be successful.
But you can't run the ball without a line.
And there is, I would say there's 2 quarterbacks right now in the entire NFL that could drop back and throw it 40 times and have success without running it. And I think that's Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes.
I think it's Patrick Mahomes. Because Burrow's either going to get teed off. That line is
yeah, but
they haven't been
Joe,
since he got in the league.
I've seen defenses know Joe's going to drop back every play and him do what he needs to do. I've seen it multiple times over years. Mahomes, the same thing. Lamar Jackson can't do it. Aaron Rodgers is too old to do it now. Like, Kirk Cousins had success last night because they were gashing those boys. Bijan Robinson was gashing those boys. Play action is in play. If play action's not in play and you got to drop back and they know you're dropping back, it's a tough, tall order for 99% of the quarterbacks in the NFL. Before we get to Eberflus, Nick,
since 2023, Patrick Mahomes is the 23rd most sacked quarterback in the league. To your point, there's only 32 teams. They prioritize protecting him. Protecting him. At the expense of receivers. Yeah, he does. But listen, at the expense of receivers last year protecting Patrick. We'll take our chances protecting Patrick, and you get a Super Bowl.
Correct.
What are we
Before
talking
we get
about?
to Matt Eberflus, I want to say this about Caleb Williams. The second interception where he's under pressure, Daniil Hunter almost rips his shirt from under his jersey. He spins away, rolls right, and tries to find Kmet, but throws the interception and is genuinely shocked that it got picked off. He couldn't believe it. The look on his face was like, how in the world did he get to that?
Where did that guy come from?
I want Caleb Williams to continue to try to make that play because that is why he's in the league and that's why he's gotten there. He will learn that there's certain plays that he cannot make or cannot throw, but I actually like the attempt because that's what's made Caleb Williams Caleb Williams. That's what's won him a Heisman Trophy. He's trying to make a play. If he rolls out there and just throws it out of bounds, that's really not that doesn't make him an elite guy down the road. Kyler Murray, if he runs around like he did the other day versus the Rams and then throws that ball out of bounds instead of looking downfield and trying to make something happen, we're not talking about it. So live by the sword, die by the sword. He'll get older and more mature and have more experience and know what windows he can fit balls into. But I'm not mad at the throw. It's picked off. He's fighting for his life trying to make plays. I was almost encouraged a little bit by him letting it go. It's a bad pick. It goes down the sheet as a bad pick, but I still like the attempt and the effort, and he'll grow from that.
Live by the sword, die by the sword, but you're gonna die every time if you ain't got no body armor.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is this is him learning learning what windows are what.
Yeah, listen. He's gonna. I'm not critical of Caleb right now. He has not played well, but also, I mean, I think he's learning, right? Like, look, I didn't think he was going to hit the ground running. It was going to be crazy. I agree with that, man. He has to figure out what he can and cannot do in this league. You also brought up an interesting thing, Cole Kmet. I've always heard that a rookie quarterback's best friend is their tight end. Why don't we use him? I thought Cole Kmet was a really good player last year for Justin Fields. Caught a lot of touchdowns. Really good tight end. You rewarded him with a contract. Involve him in the offense. 5 targets on 37 dropbacks on Sunday. Come on, man. What are we doing here? What are we doing?
I mean, and in some pieces, like that, Roma Dunze got to come down with that slant in the end zone.
1,000% he does.
For a big time wide receiver coming out of school, that's an easy catch. Keenan Allen,
as Keenan Allen last week, needs to make that touchdown.
Keenan Allen got to make that catch.
Yeah.
There's been a couple conversations on Twitter about young quarterbacks, and J.J. McCarthy has the same amount of touchdown passes as Caleb Williams. It's like, first of all, I just watched I watched our boys drop 2 TD passes where he put the ball on the money. I actually don't think Caleb is playing that bad. I'm actually think with what he has been dealing with, I think actually he's been playing solid.
He was good in the first half. He was fine.
The whole confidence thing is interesting because we know how that goes with quarterbacks. And if it was actually, I can't believe how ironic, the irony of him in an orange jersey sitting on the bench and looking up into the sky, identically the way Justin Fields did in an orange jersey. And I want to say that was a primetime game as well.
Yeah.
Like, what in the fucking world is this?
Yeah.
So that's long way to go. We'll see what Caleb. Let's move on to Matt Eberflus real quick.
Easy. Caleb's always been the best player at every single level. He's always been, his athleticism has always allowed him to overcome things. He's realizing in this league that's not necessarily the case. That's fine. Work with him, coaching staff, fill in the blanks. He'll be just fine. That's it.
Matt Eberflus.
Who?
I am on wax. You know, people, hey, this is the United States of America. People rebrand all the time. Matt Eberflus had one of the most unbelievable rebrands out of thin air I've ever seen. And he didn't fool me. I've been pounding on the table for this dude to get fired forever. Last year. He goes into the summer and gets a haircut and a couple fits and a pair of sunglasses. And then we signed some talent, and Caleb's coming in. That, of course, has something to do with it. He closed the summer going into week 1 of the NFL regular season, the favorite to win Coach of the Year. He went from being fired to the favorite to win Coach of the Year in a span of 4 months. And yes, we drafted the Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. And yes, we added a bunch of talent. Regardless, Tiger didn't change his stripes, man. This guy is not he's just not a head coach for me. And every time I listen to him speak, I stayed up late. I listened to the press conference. We can talk about the challenges. He never answered. You know what? You know when you ask someone a question, Nick, and you're satisfied with the answer, and you're like, okay. I have never been satisfied with an answer that Matt Eberflus has ever given to a question, ever. He doesn't say anything. He dances around things, and I'm never left feeling invigorated or confident about where he stands with the situation that he's talking about or the team or anything. It's almost just like I just shrug and kind of go on, and we'll just see what happens next week. They asked him about the challenges. He talked about the process of how he gets the decision to confirm if he's going to challenge it or not. He said they were high leverage situations, which made him decide to challenge that. One was a third down and one was a turnover. And they asked him about it twice. He confirmed twice that he appreciates the process. Our process is good. Clearly, it's not good because those are two horrific challenges that cost you. You could have saved those spots. We could have used a timeout at some point in that first half. Talk to me about Eberflus overall, your feeling, and the miracle rebrand that he somehow pulled off.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Hard Knocks did him a great favor of just showcasing the whole rebrand and the haircut and how his wife told him to step his game up, and then he's sitting lakeside out there in Lake
his
Forest
daughters
in his nice crib, sitting there drinking cappuccino. They open up Hard Knocks. He's having the party at his house overlooking Lake Michigan. It's all great. They make it seem like this guy is like, I don't know, like the coolest guy on earth. No, he has no idea what he's doing. The other thing that Hard Knocks showed is that he can't have a conversation with Caleb Williams because he does not understand offense. You literally sit him down and like, yeah, how do you feel? Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Go get him, Tiger. Like, like the guy has absolutely zero idea how to communicate with his quarterback. Look, the defense has played great. If he has his hands on the defense, I will give him that. Over the last
he does
13 games, this defense has been outstanding. To start the season this year, this defense has been outstanding. I thought the defense was special on Sunday, all things considered, considering that you were playing against an absolutely elite quarterback. We can say that about Coleridge Bernard Stroud the third or whatever his name is.
The fourth.
The fourth. There's been three others. We can say that about elite, right? We can say that about Stroud. Stroud is elite. Again, ball placement. We talked about it. This guy's absolutely elite. And to hold him to 19 points and really put it in a situation where they got to come down and win the game, that the defense played great. But that's not head coaching. To shake off those challenges as high leverage situations, I'm sorry, those cost you timeouts in a one possession ball game, right? Neither one of those were anything that you should have challenged. The catch by Stephon Diggs was right in front of you. He was 5 feet from the sidelines when he caught that ball. It was very clearly a catch. The interception, same deal. I saw that in real time. That's not a pick. We know that. You also have someone in your ear who is feeding you this information saying that's not a pick or that's a catch. And then from there, you decide to make that move. So we're not going to shake that off as if it didn't matter because that's part of head coaching. You and I talk about this multiple times per Sunday. I'll call you and I said, did you just see what that coach did in that game? That's what it is. Head coaching is game management. So I'm happy that you're able to run the defense, but can you manage the game? It is the most important part of head coaching. Mike Tomlin hasn't picked up a playbook in a decade. Manages the game. Manages the game, manages the week. Everybody knows what they're supposed to do. Manages the culture. The standard is the standard is the standard is the standard. He still hasn't told you that Justin Fields is his starting quarterback. That's just how we operate. So, listen, that is called being a head coach, man. You're responsible for everything that goes on. And right now, Matt Eberflus is responsible for being 11-25 as a head coach. Period, point blank. I don't care about what they didn't put around him in his first year or his second year or any of that. He's 11-25 as a head coach. We still have questions about his game management and decision-making. He has zero involvement with the offense while it's in shambles now. It's up to you, man. You can't just hang your hat on the defense playing well.
So, yeah, because you're not a defensive coordinator.
You're not a defensive coordinator anymore.
You're the head coach.
And I thought this year he's not calling the defense, right? Or is he? What does he do? Is he Salah?
I want to say
at the Salah level?
I think he's calling some of the D. I don't know that for fact. I should probably dive in and get to the bottom of that. But he seems to be calling sets on a play to play. They had 9 penalties though for 60. The Texans had 12 penalties for 115 yards, and we still couldn't do anything. Offensively. 3.1 yards per play on offense. It's absolutely
nothing
paltry.
new. It's the same. Yeah, it's the same. So yeah, he has to take a blame in that, man. You are the head coach. If you're it's a 360-degree thing. You got to figure it out. And again, to bring up Tomlin, I hate to keep bringing this up because it makes it seem like I do love Mike Tomlin, but I have watched this man find ways to win football games with no offensive performance. It's possible, right? That is head coaching.
Hey, TJ Watt helps.
TJ Watt absolutely helps. That's fine.
Yeah,
but
no,
Mike
no
Tomlin,
doubt.
but a real head coach sets a standard. You have two different types. If you're gonna be the guy who is managing the building, right, and managing the game, but not necessarily calling shit, then that shit has to look great. You don't watch the Steelers and say, "Oh man, Mike Tomlin really blew that high pressure situation, or he made the wrong call there," right? Like the shit is always buttoned up. That's what the good head coaches do. Eberflus is not a good head coach, and he's not the head coach that you should have with this quarterback. We need a quarterback whisperer.
We talked about this, and
we need the whisperer.
My guess is that he'll be gone by next year, and then Caleb will have to learn a new system and a new everything, and we'll find out.
He probably got an extension in the offseason.
On the low.
Bears aren't going to pay that money.
On the low. Let me go through these really quick. Around the shield, around the NFL, I'm going to try to get through these because we don't have too much time, Big Nick the Quick. Baker Mayfield versus the Lions. Look, Baker Mayfield is here.
So happy.
I have been critical of Baker throughout the years because we talked about if you're going to show up and bark and do commercials and dance for the cameras at practice, you better be fucking throwing touchdowns on Sundays. Baker Mayfield wasn't doing that. He was dealing with the shoulder. That was probably a bigger deal than was made out. And I think that also should be a lesson to a lot of players and people just watching ball that maybe it's not worth it to go out there and try to fight through an injury that is hampering you, because then next thing you know, you're teetering on being out of a job and out of the league. That's what Baker Mayfield was done. Salute to Baker Mayfield. Last 2 years on third down, he's been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I saw it live and in color. I had a bundle of money on the Lions. He came down and diced those boys in every single situation. So shout out to Baker Mayfield. Also,
deserves what's getting to him for sure.
Without question. Jared Goff. You beat the Lions by pressuring. If you get pressure on Jared Goff to this day still, he's one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. He does he panics. He's been in the league for almost 10 years. He still panics when there's guys in his face. He will put the ball up in the air. He will turn it over. So that's where we're at on Baker Mayfield in that Lions game. Shout out Baker, continue to deal. He's doing everything right. He's down there playing quarterback in Tampa. He's not talking to anyone. And anytime there's a mic in his face, he's just talking about how he likes to play quarterback and he wants to get back to it next week. That's why Baker is thriving. Good luck to Baker. I hope he keeps cooking. Let's go down to the Kansas City Chiefs. Mahomes, slow start, towards the bottom of the league in air yards. 2 turnovers against the I don't know if it was 2 turnovers, but he has 2 turnovers to start the year. Picks. Pacheco has a broken leg. Kansas City Chiefs could easily be 0-2. They're 2-0. Keep an eye on that and how they keep going, Big Nick the Quick, because the offense still looks like it's sputtering a little bit, and Pacheco missing is a bigger deal than advertised. I mean, it just happened, but you will find out shortly that that's a bigger deal than it seems. Ravens, 0-2. Big Nick the Quick, are you worried?
Yes, absolutely, because this division is tough. The division is tough. Steelers already 2-0. Ravens got some issues, man. They got some issues. I would 100% be worried at 0-2 as I am with the Bengals.
I agree, and it's not even a Lamar Jackson thing. Could Lamar play better? Yes.
Yeah.
The defense that was completely lights out last year hasn't looked that way this year.
Nope.
You can't be giving up spots and back-to-back drives to the Raiders and at home and give up points and expect to be competing in an AFC that is absolutely stacked. They missed Patrick Queen. He's the guy that was with Roquan Smith that was running shit. And guess where he is? Pittsburgh. So they miss him quite a bit. Keep an eye on the Ravens. We'll see what happens there. Kyler Murray, man, he might be back.
Hey.
You blow the ACL, you need
no Call of Duty.
No Call of Duty. Kyler Murray, you blow the ACL, you need some time to get back. I need to go. I'm going to go watch every single throw that Kyler had against the Rams. But Orlovsky said it was some of the best tape he's ever put on film.
Even
he was 5 for 5.
First half against Buffalo, he was ridiculous.
He was 5 for 5 on passes, 20 plus yards or more. MHJ dot number 18
Ooh.
has arrived.
Player.
MHJ R. Little
I'm
R.
I'm not even going that far. First round draft pick of the Cardinals.
The funny thing is no one knows. I think like half the people know the joke and the other half don't. So we're talking about Marvin Harrison Jr.
Whoa.
So go look up why you're not supposed to say that name out in public. But MHJ, small R, 18.
That was him, not me.
The Ohio State University.
That was him, not me. Hey, look, I'll say this about Kyler, man. I watched the Buffalo game, and I watched a lot of the game this weekend. Kyler Murray looks great. I banged my head against a wall for not taking the Cardinals in that spot. If you know me through the years, I have always backed the Arizona Cardinals in a spot like that at home, coming off that tough loss against Buffalo.
Played really well.
Played really well. Just Josh Allen was Superman in the second half of that game. And they were rolling. And just an undervalued team, right? Everybody points at last year. Last year, Kyler Murray missed 14 games. This team had zero interest in winning anything. They were all over the place. Of course, they looked terrible. This year, Kyler Murray's back. He's healthy for all of camp. He has his deal. Gannon's been working with him.
Gannon's good.
He's good. I think we came into this year and we probably missed on the Cardinals, just wrote them off instead of saying, hey, maybe these guys can do some things. Now, let's see how it goes, right? Because Kyler's done this before. Starts off the year hot, but when shit kind of hits the rails, I just don't think he's a film guy. So the problem is once the film is out there on him and defenses start to adjust, I don't know if Kyler's locking himself in the room to try to, exploit little matchups here. He's just going out there playing ball. Maybe that'll change, right? Maybe that'll change. He's matured. He's older now. He did miss most of the year last year. So, sometimes that puts shit into perspective. So we'll see. But that's a dangerous team. They've always been a dangerous team. And I have said this forever. It is a tough place to play. I just think guys go out there. You get out. We both have lived out there. You get out there a couple of days earlier. It's a lot going on out there in the desert. So stay tuned. I'm serious, man. Like, listen, it's always been that way out there in that division. And that division has always played each other tough. So I'm not surprised that they give a Rams a run for their money and win that ball game. But we should have been on Kyler Murray.
Stay tuned on Kyler. No longer Cliff Kingsbury running the show. Jonathan Gannon is there. Maybe that'll change things.
And I got to give one big shout out to the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans Saints went into Dallas and absolutely smacked them. Shout out Derek Carr. Shout out Dennis Allen. The Saints team is 2-0. This defense looks absolutely legit, and the offense looks like it can score some points. That might be a team to watch in the NFC South. NFC South is shaking out to be a good division.
Well, definitely a team to watch in the NFC South. They're 2-0. Atlanta got a huge W, so they're now back rolling. Atlanta got a huge
W. Kirk Cousins was rolling last night on that game-winning drive. One of the worst losses I've seen in a while, though. You can point to multiple different things as to why the Eagles shouldn't have lost that game. You can talk about the Saquon drop. You can talk about the decision to throw it in that situation. You can talk about some of the clock management stuff from Sirianni. I don't have a problem with them throwing it there because if he catches it, it's a touchdown and the game is over.
Correct.
But there was a lot of things I saw, but the defensive coverage on the next possession where Kirk literally in 5 plays drive down the field like it was absolutely nothing leaves a lot to scratch the head about. And I'll also push back on this. Go down and score the touchdown. I'm listening to Manning broadcast, and Peyton's like, oh, don't score so fast, Kirk. Eli goes, yeah, but you got to score the touchdown. So it's interesting to hear a guy like Peyton who knows he can score versus a guy like Eli who may have had some trouble in that situation saying, nah, the momentum's going. You know what I'm saying? Of course you can say that, Peyton. Get it while you can. Yeah. The momentum's rolling. I don't think there's any reason you slow down. You had them on their heels. You score. You hope your defense can come down and get a stop, and that's exactly what happened. So, I think that there's some interesting storylines, and again, I'm gonna keep saying it. Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers are 2-0. Justin Fields is playing winning football. He is throwing the ball when he has to. This team has a good defense, and we understand. I know you're not a believer. You wanted Mike Tomlin fired last year, But don't be surprised if we look up and see this team at 10-7 or 11-6. You were calling for it after week 3 last year.
I never said that.
Anyway, roll the tape. Watch the film.
Speaking of coaching, Matt LaFleur ran the ball 53 times for 261 yards. When we talk about trying an offensive mind having an actual game plan, that's what I'm talking about. You knew Malik Willis couldn't throw it. I knew Malik Willis couldn't throw it. Matt LaFleur knew Malik Willis couldn't throw it. The Indianapolis Colts knew Malik Willis couldn't throw it. And they showed up and ran the ball down your throat every single play, and you could do nothing. That's when we're talking about setting up a game plan that works with your quarterback and your situation. That's what we're talking about. Shout out Matt LaFleur for putting that together and making it happen.
Yeah, that's old school football. 32 carries for Josh Jacobs. I want to see the last time a running back had 32 carries. That is a strong commitment to the running game. Like you said, yeah, only 14 dropbacks from Malik Willis. On that game, though, not to flip it, but Anthony Richardson, where are we? Speaking of not being able to throw the ball. Splash plays?
Yeah, I mean, this is only, his 6th game? 7th game? Like, he hasn't even played any games. So, yeah, I mean, we gotta see.
If he was in Carolina, he'd be benched.
He got 18.
No,
we'll see. We could talk about Ant Richardson after 18. We'll come back to it. But let's close it out. Big Nick the Quick. It has to stop. Lead it off.
Man. So, yeah, this segment, it has to stop. We're going to go around the league, around the sports world, and talk about a couple things that we are absolutely fed up with and that have to stop. I'm going to lead off the show with something that you and I have talked about since Amazon debuted Thursday Night Football with their crew of our girl Carissa Thompson,
shout out
Richard
Carissa.
Sherman, Tony Gonzalez, and Andrew Whitworth. Andrew Whitworth, great playing career. Respect him. You know, I talk about old linemen. I love him. We have to give up the hoodie under the blazer look. Every single week, doesn't matter if it's warm out, doesn't matter if it's cold out, Andrew Whitworth shows up on set with a hoodie under his blazer. This week, this past Thursday, we reached new heights. He had a bomber on. You know the bomber jacket? It was made out of that same fabric that like windbreakers are made out of, right?
Yeah, it's like a satin almost.
Yeah, like a satin almost, right?
It depends on the
jacket was okay. It's nondescript. He's a nondescript guy. That's fine. Doesn't need to be loud. Still had the hoodie on under the nylon bomber. Looked absolutely terrible. At this point, I feel like he's trolling us. Andrew Whitworth, the hoodies under the blazer absolutely have to stop. Bezos, whoever it is over there that needs to talk to him, you are on TV. You know they have access to stylists. Someone needs to save my man. It's a terrible look. I get it. As a big guy, I get it. The hoodie is sometimes a shield, right? The hoodie's a shield. We're bigger guys. We get insecure about certain parts now. We might look on TV. I understand it. You put the hoodie on, it's like a security blanket. I understand. I understand as a fellow big man. That ain't it, though. There's other things that we can do.
Whack.
I know why he's doing it. I know why he's doing it. He's insecure. It's okay, Andrew. I see you. But we got to do something different, man. Holler at my boy, Sean. Get him right, man. Send him. You should DM Whitworth.
It's a bad look.
Here's a couple pieces. Mix and combo this. You're good to go. It's a terrible look. And it's gone on for far too long. It has to stop.
Maybe it's a trademark. That's what he's going like, yo, this
I haven't seen him with a deal yet. Someone needs to holler at him. Hey, holler at my guy, Iguodala. I know he's got a clothing company for big men. Like, there's other options out there. Has to stop.
Anything else before we get out of here? I'm not even going to do mine just because we got to go. You got any more? It has to stop.
Yeah, college football. Just the merry-go-round of college football. Graham Mertz. We watched him suck at Wisconsin. Somehow he ends up at a bigger program starting in Florida. DJ Ukulele, I know I'm not saying his name right. We've watched him suck at 3 different schools. Somehow he ends up being the quarterback for a 14-0 team. And the last one is Bobby Petrino. gets fired from Arkansas as the head coach for having an affair with an intern. He was giving her $20,000 cash gifts. Gets in a motorcycle accident. They have him in the press conference with the halo thing on. He's over here lying to officials, saying that he was on the bike by himself. Comes out that he was riding the bike with this intern. Obviously loses his job. Miraculously, I found out on Friday, 8 years later, Bobby Petrino is back coaching as the offensive coordinator at the University of Arkansas. Only in college football can you get fired for sleeping with an intern and find yourself right back at the same university 8 years later with the hero's welcome. Unbelievable. College football as a whole must be stopped. Bring down the NCAA. It's criminal at this point.
It has to stop.
It has to.
We'll leave it there. For Big Nick the Quick, I am your host, Sean Little. Make sure you subscribe everywhere. No Ketchup Sports Talk via Chicago. Subscribe to the YouTube page. I'm trying to revamp it best I can. I'm doing that all by myself. Check out, of course, tell the homie to tell a friend to subscribe to the pod. Pass it along. We'll be here weekly. I'm going to be continuing to come out with stuff on the daily. No Ketchup Sports Talk via Chicago. We'll see y'all next rip.